Welcome to the Maine Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I'm Bobbie Grenier, your trusted guide to navigating the world of real estate in Maine. Get ready to debunk mortgage myths, unravel real estate mysteries, and learn tips to avoid costly mistakes. Whether you're an industry pro, an overwhelmed buyer, confused seller, or simply curious about life in Maine, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to the Maine Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Bobbie Grenier, and I promise this podcast with a healthy dose of Maine flavor, and this episode definitely delivers. Today I'm chatting with Krystan Menz of EXP Realty, and she is filling us in on not only the local real estate scene in the Greenville and Moosehead Lake area, but also gives us a down low on the lifestyle and many outdoor activities that anyone living or visiting Greenville can enjoy. Krystan is a Greenville local that knows all of the nuances and hidden gems that this quaint, step back in time, outdoor enthusiast paradise, little town in Piscataquis County, Maine has to offer. Good morning, Krystan. Happy Sunday. Thanks for coming on with me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. I'm really excited about this. So I kind of want to do a series in Maine of tourist and vacation towns and living and working in those towns. And I think the common thing would be to go to the coast, but I really wanted to start with Greenville. And you came to mind because you live in Greenville, you work in Greenville, you're part of the community. So I'm really happy that you agreed to do this. So I obviously know you and we've worked together on deals, but can you tell us more about yourself for everybody else listening?
Yes, so I am Krystan Menz. I have been doing real estate for the past 4 years. Recently teamed up with my husband, so we are a domestic partner team now here out of Greenville. This was when I first started my fun job. I worked in the healthcare field, so this was something that I could do to get outside of that. We moved here about 8 years ago. We have three beautiful girls that our life is basically revolves around and super busy all the time. But yes, real estate has just been something new and fun for us, and we love this community, so we just hopped in.
So I know a lot of people have been to Greenville, and for those that haven't, can you tell us a little bit about what about Greenville and what makes it so special?
Yes, so Greenville is uh, right on the southern tip of Moosehead Lake. It is about 40 miles long at its longest point and about 20 miles wide at its widest point. Um, Here in Greenville, we have about 1,500 year-round residents that basically thrive on your small mom and pop shops. You will not find a franchise here. It was said before we came here that there was a McDonald's and it was run out of town because the town did not want it. Again, all small business, mom and pop. But we have we usually triple in size in the summer. People come here to hike. We have world renowned fishing and fly fishing spots. We have a lot of community events that we do in the summer and into the fall, like the seaplane flying in. We have a huge turnout for 4th of July. But downfall, we have one blinking light. So, for a lot of people that are so used to the hustle and bustle of a big city or, a bigger town, we only have one blinking stoplight. So, it does get a little hectic with the traffic, but I mean, everybody enjoys their time when they're here. We have little shops that are unique here to the area that have specific things for Moosehead Lake. There's the mud puddle, which has been around for forever. The kids love the place. You have the corner shop, the Indian shop. We have a rock shop now. And we have an amazing little boutique for Ashley Rose Box, which is a clothing thing for all the women that want to shop. So we have a lot of things to do just here in the area, which again, the town thrives on.
That's one thing that impresses me, and I think it's really cool, and you probably find this too, is, I've lived in Maine my whole life, so I'm used to, what Maine has to offer, and sadly, probably don't appreciate it like I should, but I have a friend that, lives just outside of Nashville, and he came here to vacation, and then he bought a property up, in the Brownville area, but the thing he always says to me, he goes, "It's like stepping back in time." And that, in my mind, is a great thing, and somebody that wants to sort of experience that, Greenville is the absolute perfect place to do that. And like you said, just there's, um, a little bit of an art scene in Greenville too, which is really, really cool. So it's a unique place. And then you talked about the outdoor activities. So tell us a little bit about how it is a four season kind of town.
So, to piggyback off that, we do always say that we kind of live in like the Hallmark town. So, what the Hallmark movies are all about. So, of course, in the spring and in mud season, we still have a lot of people that come up for when the fishing starts. But we have, again, the fishing, the hiking. Um, but also in the winter, there's snowmobiling, there is ice fishing. We have a big togue derby that brings people from all over the state, Massachusetts, all our neighboring states also. So, again, the community thrives year round, and it's because of all of the activities that we have. I mean, and they involve the kids. So it's not just for, the older retirement families that come up. It's for and like everyone in the family, because they always include the kids in everything. I mean, even some of the like the rock shop. He will let you go and you break up the rocks, and he tells you about the rocks. Like it's just the little things that make it so much better. When you can go into Northwoods, they will tell you the best place to see the moose. If you don't want to take a tour with them, that's okay. They'll tell you, hey, go down this road at this time, or hey, do you want to feed the deer? Go to Beaver Cove. You can go feed them out of your hand in Lily Bay. So, of course, we have the boating. The boats come from all over, but we do have rental services now for boating and jet skiing. Again, fishing is a huge thing. So there's always some place to fish. The kids fish right off the dock in town. So it is basically a four season whenever you just want to get away from, like I said, the hustle and bustle. This is definitely the place.
It really is so fun, and it has a fun vibe. I live about 45 minutes from Greenville, and that's one of our favorite places to take the bike. So we'll drive up to Greenville and have lunch and a drink at Stress Free, and it's so fun to sit outside because the whole town is taken over by four wheelers and ATVs, and there are groups that will come up and have lunch, and it's really fun. It's a really cool vibe, and I think that, if anyone is an outdoor enthusiast, it's the perfect spot because like you said, there's Moosehead Lake and there's other, ponds, there's hiking, fishing, boating, hunting, guide services. I know there are a lot of guide services up there. Seaplanes. You also have, what's the company that has the seaplanes up there?
We have two of them.
Mhm,
There is Carriers Air Service, and then there's Jack's Air
mhm.
Service. And there one is over by Kelly's Landing, at the as you're going to Rockwood, and the other one is actually if you're going to um, Cacao
Yeah,
or
no,
Beaver Cove.
that's great. So, yeah, I think that it definitely should be checked out. And the point about the one stoplight, embrace it for what it is. If you know, like I've gone many times to watch the fireworks up there and you just count on, there's one road going in, there's one road going out. So just kind of count on that and part of the experience, right?
Right, and, we have the new it's, the Moosehead Alliance, and which is like a mountain bike. So they have gotten trails all over town now so people can bike. So most of the people they walk everywhere in town. So, the blinking light is just for, when you get into town, but um and then the new campground, which is a big tourist attraction these days, because they have some concerts and stuff out there. So other than that, a lot of people they just walk around, or like you said, ATV, side by side, all around town. So it is it's nice. It's fun to hear, all of the families and the laughing, and just everybody having a good time.
I'm sure that it makes for a unique real estate market because it is a tourist town. The population, I think you said, more than doubles from winter to summer. And I know that a lot of people come in the winter, but it's probably more staying a week or so to ski or snowmobile or something like that. So, can you tell me a little bit about the unique challenges of selling real estate in Greenville?
Yes. So I would say one of the biggest challenges is that everyone wants waterfront. And yes, there is waterfront available and it comes up when it's available, but you have to understand that there are 100 other people that are right next to you, have been looking for longer, or or maybe not as long, but still there everybody's looking for it. And a lot of people here that have it uh, don't usually let it go. So it is very trying at times. And then there are people that, have land that it's on the water, and they are starting to break up that land, and subdivide it, which takes some more time. But then you have, your setbacks that is required for the waterfront, which people sometimes don't understand, or don't like to be told how they can use or what they can do to their land. So, yes, we have beautiful views and the water is amazing, but the town, the zoning ordinance, the LUPIC or LUPC, which is the land use that is for the townships around, want to keep this place how it is. So the trees, the being able to have those views, and the animals that we see and we hear every day. So it is very uh, particular on how the land can be used. So a lot of people that come here sometimes don't understand that, and they need an agent that can explain how things in a smaller town, or here, work. Um, Sometimes that is a deterrent, but most of the time, when they sit down with us and we can explain everything, I think that what they were going to take for granted is no longer taken for granted, because they're like, "Oh, that's so neat. That's great. Like, I get it. I understand now." Um, Another thing that we have a lot of right now, and which is, I don't know so much if it's a challenge, or some things that are coming up with the market, is Airbnb. There are a lot of Airbnb places around here because people will buy because they want to be able to come and enjoy this, but they obviously are not here year round. So they want to spread the love and rent out their places, which can also be a little bit of a learning curve too, because There are some specific places here around Greenville that do not allow, the HOA does not allow you to use your residence as an Airbnb. So it can just be used for, family that or families or friends. You cannot actually rent it or produce an income from it. So, and a lot of people, that's kind of how the only way that they can maybe afford it is to help supplement by renting it. So that in a nutshell is the two main things that when people come here or when they're looking or searching to buy, that's where most people are looking. Of course, we have a lot of people that just want to come and have a little place that they can watch the 4th of July parade or sit and watch the seaplane fly in when it's here in September. Um, and or we enjoy having new families come into the community. It doesn't happen very often because we don't have a lot of, um, I guess, the jobs in the area because we have the bigger cities that are around us. But we do get them every once in a while. New teachers. We have a new childcare facility for early childhood education coming. So we're hoping that that will bring in more families to the community.
Well, I'm not a real estate agent, but I've been in this business for a while. And when people ask me for references, and I work with a lot of really great real estate agents, I always think, who is an agent in that area? Because that speaks to the fact that it is so important to have an agent that knows the area. I can't imagine somebody from Portland, coming up and trying to beyond, what they see online for the multi-listing coming up and really knowing the nuances of an area and especially an area as unique as the Greenville Moosehead Lake area. So you must have some suggestions that you can maybe give, like, okay, so maybe you're not going to be on Moosehead Lake, but there are a lot of other great small ponds around, or maybe there is some kind of deeded access, or they're close to some kind of public access. So, how creative can you get with that sort of thing?
Yes. So we have all some townships that are around us. So if you go right up the road north, there's Beaver Cove. Anywhere in Beaver Cove has deeded lake access. So no matter if you are on, so Lily Bay is the main road that runs through town, one way, Pleasant is the other way. So if you are on Lily Bay, no matter what side you are on in Beaver Cove, Lily Bay area, you have deeded access. There's actually two common areas in Beaver Cove that have a beach, so you get that access. A numerous amount of HOAs around here. There's the Highland Road Association that if you live in the Highland subdivision, you also get the deeded access that way. But you are absolutely correct. There is a pond or some type of water around you within 5 or 10 miles, any way you go. And most of the time, it's like more like 2 miles. So there's always access to the water. We have Monson, right, a little south of us, that is new up and coming. It has a lot of arts. There's Lake Hebron. It's probably a little cheaper, cost effective to be on that lake than maybe Moosehead because of how big it is. And, you can put a bigger boat on Moosehead. Um, but, a challenge is the inventory too. Making sure we have the inventory for someone to come look at. So we always, when we get the phone call that we're like, yep, we want to put an offer in on this house. Okay, have you seen it? Have you actually been to Greenville? Do you understand that we have an amazing grocery store that you can buy muck boots and also groceries? And a fishing pole all within one store, but it might not have all the amenities that you're used to. So have you been here? Have you taken a ride around town? Have you talked to anybody around town? Well, no, we haven't. We just saw it and we've been wanting it, so we want to buy it. So, we have a lot of those sight unseen, but we always encourage them to come. Just take a drive, have lunch with us. Like, let's talk about the town. Let's talk about the area. Maybe, you want this, but your budget uh, doesn't really hit the mark here. But we can find you someone or somewhere, around the area that we can maybe be a better fit. But when they come here and they're like, well, we wanted to be on the water, but if over here, we can walk to the water. So, it's a little bit of the education, just talking to them, having a conversation with them, becoming friends, so they can understand, how it works around here.
I've been finding in talking with a lot of real estate agents that COVID seems to pop in to almost all of our conversations because now we're in the after effects of COVID, and Maine was a place that people were retreating to. And I did many closings for people buying down in on the coast, Bar Harbor area, Camden area, that area. But I also had a lot of people that did come to Greenville. A couple comes to mind that they were living in New York City, in the city, and they got in their car with their baby, whatever they could put in their little Honda Accord or whatever it was, and drove to Greenville and bought a place right there. That was very early on in the whole COVID situation. But so what are you finding, if any, are the after effects of people that did that sort of thing, be it a primary residence or a vacation home? What are you finding for after effects in your area?
So I would say that one of the biggest things is we had a lot of people buying land, um, and land for future to be able to build on. So now we have all of those people that have bought land that are now wanting to build, and it's taking, longer, or, things have been a little stalled because of, you know, again, we are very remote. So, having a builder come here, we have amazing builders here around town, but they're full because they're now trying to get all of these houses built, but plus keeping, all their clients that they have in the community happy. So that has been a huge, challenge, because you have new people coming and they want to buy land too. And they're like, well, how long is it to build? And it's kind of hard to even say these days, that we really don't know. I mean, the best thing we can say is almost a year out, because we have all of those people from what we would say COVID that bought the land because they were like, we're getting this piece, we're going to put our camper on it and we're going to stay here. Well, now they're ready for their camp. And so it's very hard, to, you know, to keep up with that demand.
Well, that's
Um,
everywhere. I mean, and like you said, you layer on top of that the fact that Greenville is remote. There are limited contractors, there are limited plumbers, electricians, builders, that sort of thing. And supplies, building supplies have, if they've settled a little bit, but super crazy and expensive there. So I can definitely see that. That wasn't quite the answer that I was expecting, but that's really interesting because a lot of people I've talked to have been like, they had this really grand idea of what it was going to be like to live in a small town in Maine. And for me and for you, I mean that's the ideal life. But if you if you haven't really been here, and that's the other thing, you probably did many, video walkthroughs and people just jumping on a property without being here and seeing and sort of at least spend a weekend, experience what life in Greenville would be like beyond Moosehead Lake,
right. And, you have those people also that, we have a ton of them that came in, bought, and now they're like, well, and also have the very low interest rates. Like, and it doesn't take much to upkeep something except for in the winter, making sure that, nothing freezes. But they come and they're like, well, they like it, but only for like a weekend. So now they want to sell. And, and this is with everywhere. This is not just Greenville, but we're seeing, the prices are so high up that the people that could afford them in COVID cannot afford them now, or don't think they can. We always say, and our lender friends always say, you marry the house, you date the rate.
Yeah, the rates that definitely throws an interesting curveball into the whole situation. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But the people that are waiting for the COVID rates to come back, you might have a little bit of a wait. For people that are looking to buy in your area, what's the best advice? Where would you point them in the direction to even begin that search?
So I would have them, if they haven't been here, come here, come meet us, or pick another. If there's somebody else that you have worked with or had talked to in the past, get in touch with them and just have a conversation. Tell them exactly what you're looking for. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what are your plans? How are you going to use this property? Like what is your end goal with the property? Is it going to be a generational thing? Something that you're going to buy and you want your grandkids to still be able to live and afford. And then, I would advise them to check out, what they want to spend. Should like let's get pre-approved, or, see what you want to be able to spend to get what you want. And then let's start looking. Search, search Zillow and all the other sites that you can go to. And if you find something, then contact me. Say, hey, I saw this one. Can you tell me a little bit about it? And then get some information about it. Hey, if it's something that you want to do, let's go look at it. Or I can do a virtual tour for you. I can get more information about it. And maybe you're like, okay, well, it's been a while. You don't find anything that you like. Maybe you want to look for land, so let's switch gears. Let's look at land. Let's see, if we can put a cabin on it or a tiny house or, whatever it may be. But let's, again, have the conversation, be able to talk to your agent, and tell them what you want. And, you don't want, and we always say, we don't want to be pushy. We don't want to push you into something that you don't want or you can't afford. That's not what we're here to do. We are here to help, and we love this place. So we want other people to come and enjoy it too.
Back to your point of staying open-minded about the other choices beyond being right on the lake. And there are a lot of other options and creative ways that you really can enjoy the area and maybe have it be at a little more of an affordable price tag. So I want to ask you, and maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but when you work with buyers, you inherently spend a lot of time that may not result in a deal for you. Do you find that maybe it's a little bit more in an area or a town like Greenville that, someone is just, for whatever reason, infatuated with the idea of moving to that area or having land in that area, so they really use a lot of your time? And again, that's part of it, and I know that is, but I always just kind of feel like in a town like Greenville, you maybe do spend a little more time doing legwork for buyers that never really come to the closing table.
So I'm actually going to say that it's the opposite.
Really? Okay.
I do. It's the opposite because, we have the specific properties, specific areas. And so usually there's a lot of people that will come to us that want something very specific. Um, when you get in the weeds about maybe having an investor that comes and they find land and they want to buy the land and they want to split it up so more people can enjoy it, then it takes a little bit of your time, but it really is an education process. And it's really, I mean, I've learned so much from some of those people. Even if the deal didn't go through. I had an instance where a gentleman wanted waterfront. We had been looking for, shoot, I have been working with him for almost 2 years now, and he found a big piece. It had a lot of water frontage, but he wanted only a piece of it, and he wanted to break it up so everybody else could have some too. And it was in a township, so we had to use the LUPC, or the land use committee, for that, and seeing what we could actually do, how many plots could actually be made, how the survey was going to work. And then in the end, somebody came and bought it. So there are those trying times, but a lot of them are an piece of, something better. Like, you're learning so much, not just about, the area, but about that person, about the people that actually work, and what they're about, and why they're doing what they're doing, because it's very easy to maybe get upset with them because you can't do something that you want. But it really is a learning process.
You have a a fantastic attitude about it because um a lot of times, and I really don't know, can't think of any real estate agent that comes to mind that has really ever complained about it. But the fact that you're looking at it like, hey, this may never result in a deal for me, but I've learned a lot and it will help me help the next guy that comes along and the next. So that's really a great mindset and awesome attitude about all of that. So that's great. So I know you don't have a crystal ball, but I'm going to ask you to get out your crystal ball. Do you have any predictions for real estate in the future of the Greenville area?
So it is the season that is getting ready to be, that spring market that we all talk about, but it's pretty much every year. And it's about June, when everybody's out of school, all the graduation parties are over, and we get inundated with everyone. And that's when it really takes off. And I every year I think that it might slow down, but it just picks right back up. It's really steady, and it always has been. But again, the Airbnb is huge in this area, and so we are seeing more and more and more of it, and we're seeing more of, again, the land being purchased, the cabins being built, and then them being rented out. So I foresee more of that continuing, but it never fails that every summer it is crazy. So no matter if it is, if it was pre-COVID or COVID, or even, now after COVID, it does not matter. It still never skips a beat.
I feel like just in our conversation, Greenville has done a relatively good job of maintaining the um, quaintness and uniqueness of the town with being able to provide the services and the amenities because people do come. So, although the Airbnb situation does make a challenge for you, it does provide more lodging for people that want to come. I know that there are certainly lots of hotels and that sort of thing there, but yeah, so it's kind of striking that balance of benefiting the town because tourism clearly is a big industry in that town and what the most of the locals rely on. So that's really interesting. That's really interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and watch. However, it kind of happens quietly and slowly. It's not generally like it's some big boom happens, but every time I go, and I usually go a few times a year up to Greenville, I notice a new shop or boutique or, a restaurant that somebody has opened. So, but stress free is still my favorite. That's my best place.
Yes, they're awesome, and I mean, just everybody that works there is a great too. And again, a lot of the people that are opening these places, are people from the community that just know or see a need and they are acting on it. We have a new coffee shop, but she's also a realtor. So, I mean, it's just that multifaceted, the new campground that is absolutely beautiful and is booked nonstop is a family from in town that has a landscaping and excavation work and groundwork place. So again, it's just seeing the need and the community acting on it. And again, that's why it keeps it the quaint, quiet, non-franchise. You're not going to find, those franchise places here. It's just quiet and great.
It is a really special place. And, we'll know that things are happening when you get one more stoplight, right?
Right. So in July 4th, there is a stoplight. They put a stoplight up there now for the 4th of July. So we do have a stoplight there. And then obviously like the seaplane fly in, which again, a lot of people, I'm like, I always talk about it and they're like, what is that? Some people don't even know, but people from, you know, across the United States come here and they know about it. So again, it's those little Hallmark town special things that just make it that much better.
And that's it. And that's why working with somebody that knows the area and is ingrained in the area, how that just really enriches the whole experience for sure. And you clearly love the town, and that's really great to see and great to hear about. So, but the big question is, if somebody works with you, can you guarantee that they're going to see a moose?
So I will admit, that even me living here, I do not see them very often. My husband drives to Jackman all the time. He sees them all the time. But I can drive to Jackman and never see one. So, I mean, I had a moose hunt this year and I saw three, three, and I was on the moose hunt. So they are there's a ton of them, but you never see them.
Yeah, they're almost
And
kind
when
of
you want
kind
to
of
see them,
elusive.
you're never going to see them. Yep.
Well, it's like anything. You do have to kind of time it. And if you're just, it's hit or miss, but I mean, certainly lots and lots of wildlife that you're going to see: moose, bear, sometimes, coyotes. Yeah.
The
So,
loons, the
yeah,
loons
the
are
loons.
awesome.
I
And the
love the
loons when they
sound.
have their babies with them, because their baby like will be on top of them. It is it is so cool. Like they interact. It's kind of funny, but they interact not with the boats, but with the seaplanes. The seaplanes will fly over and guaranteed you're gonna hear them squawk back and forth like towards the plane. Don't understand why, but it happens all the time. You hear a plane fly over and then you hear them right afterwards.
That's great. Well, it is a really wonderful, unique place. So I definitely encourage everybody to check it out, whether you're interested in real estate or just want to see what the town's all about and the surrounding areas and just everything that it has to offer. So if someone wants to get more information from you, Kristen, reach out. What's the best way for them to reach you?
So by my usually the my cell phone is attached to me all the time, which is 207-349-0623. But we also have a website, which is www.teammenz, which is menz.com. And you can go see anything that is on the MLS right now, which is the Maine listing site. So anything that's available in Maine, you can find off of that site.
That's great. And I'm going to go ahead and share all that information on my show notes page on my website, and so that they can reach out to you. But I really appreciate you because honestly, I again had grew up in Maine and I live relatively close to Greenville, and I've really learned some stuff, and I'm ready to come back up.
Yes, come on, we'll go to Stress Free for lunch.
Sounds great. I want to thank Krystan for coming on the podcast today, and I want to thank you all for sitting in with Krystan and I on our chat about everything great in Greenville, Maine. Make sure to check Krystan out. Go to my website at mainrealestateroundtable.com and check out the show notes page. And I'm also going to have some links to the shops and some of the local attractions that we talked about during the podcast. This has been the Maine Real Estate Roundtable podcast with Bobbie Grenier. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion and will share this episode with a friend. And don't forget to leave a review and follow the podcast so you don't miss new episodes. The content of this podcast is for informational purposes and not intended as legal advice or representation by myself or any of the guests on the podcast. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep it real.